Okay, let's get into this one right here. Rich Paul runs his mouth again. And this time he's on the Pat McAfee show saying that the big three in Miami was not a big three. Okay. So before we get into that, because this has been going around, I've seen a couple people make videos about it, but I didn't think it was going to get that deep. But I guess it has. Many people have made videos on it, and I think I seen it. Too Raw for TV. He made a video on it, a great video. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. And this guy, I want to talk about a couple things with this guy in the whole LeBron James career. But first, you guys know I think this guy is a fraud. Okay, and we're going to expose it because the story that they tell us about Rich Paul really doesn't make any sense. But I've kind of like delved into his background a little bit, but I really didn't know. I was going on based on what I knew from Clutch Sports. They really didn't, when I was talking about LeBron James and they talked about Clutch Sports, they really wasn't talking about his real life. But I was able to pull it up right here, and let's read some of it right here. Because this would always thought that he was just some homeless dude selling jerseys out of the back of a car at the airport is when he seen LeBron James. And he's a millionaire now, right? He's almost a billionaire now from selling jerseys out of his trunk. So the whole story made no sense to me. So I thought he was just like some, dude, some homeless dude. I won't say homeless, but, on the verge of being homeless, and he was selling jerseys out of the back of his car. So that's all I knew about him. So I just came to a lot of conclusions on him. So let's read this, right? This is his story on Wikipedia. Paul, let me blow this thing up. Paul grew up in a one-bedroom apartment above his father's store, R&J, on East 125th Street in Arlington in Forest Hills. Anytime you hear Forest Hills, that's not going to be a bad part of town. I doubt it. In a neighborhood on the east side of Cleveland. Well, it depends, man. I will get into that. His father, Rich Paul Sr. Now, check out this name right here, Rich Paul. I wouldn't say this is an American name. Paul for a last name, that's not American. When we talk about American black, American white, these aren't the kind of names that come from the mainland United States. Paul, and Rich Paul, period. But, Paul as a last name, this is a Caribbean name, West Indian name. So I'm thinking, his father was West Indian or some Caribbean descent, right? His father, Rich Paul Sr., enrolled him in a private school. Okay? Some private high school. It was a Catholic high school. And look, folks, we know how much these private schools cost. These Catholic private, they can go, I knew back when I was, back in the day, they were like $15,000 to $30,000. I mean, these private schools cost what, a person, would make just above minimum wage or sometimes minimum wage. So their parents are paying for what a struggling person is making a year. After all, they said his father owned a store, but of course they try to make it sound like it was nothing because he lived in a one-bedroom apartment above his father's store. After graduating from high school, Paul was mentored by a distant replays owner, Andy Iman, on selling vintage jerseys. He would buy throwback jerseys from Atlanta and sell them out of the trunk in Cleveland. Paul was a student at University of Akron. He was a student at the University of Akron. I want to know what year. Okay, we might be getting into the year in a minute. When his father was diagnosed with intestinal cancer in 1999. 666. So with these celebrities, somebody always has to die. I won't even get into it, but most of the people I know what I'm talking about, know what I'm talking about. Somebody always has to die for these guys to achieve fame. Somebody in their family. Okay, so his father got diagnosed with intestinal cancer in 1999. So I guess we can say Rich Paul had to be about, he's in college. Well, he's 44 now. So, I don't know. He had to be like 18, 19, 20 or something around there. To be close to him, Paul transferred to Cleveland State a few months later. His father passed away, and Paul dropped out of school. Paul said, he was always telling me my education was important. I always wanted to work, but I still probably would have finished school if my father was alive. I never wanted to let him down. In 2002, he met LeBron James at the Akron Canton Airport, where James was impressed by Paul's authentic Warren Moon throwback jersey. The two exchanged contact information, and soon Paul had sold James a Magic Johnson Lakers jersey and a Joe Namath. So they don't tell us what month they met at the airport. All we know is in 2002, LeBron James was basically the biggest thing in Cleveland and the biggest basketball player yet to come into the NBA. That's how big LeBron James was. Now, folks, I think this story is bigger than what they're leading us on to about them meeting. I believe Rich Paul is a rich boy that had connections around the city and drove nice cars coming up. And at that airport was not the first time he ran into LeBron James. I don't really know why he would need to sell vintage jerseys unless he was making crazy jack doing it when his father owned a store. And his father, not only that, his father had enough money to send him to a Catholic high school. And we all know, I don't know what the tuition is in that school. I know we got to move on. Let me see. Of course, it ain't going to be the same now. Let me see. It ain't going to be the same now, but we can do some calculation of what it might be. What's it say? They're trying to say, I think this is $16,000. So $16,000. Let me see if I can round it up back then. I would say, so if you went to that school, let's just say 2002, let's just say, I don't know, what was it, 1999 his father got sick? I don't know, man. Let's just say 1996. So they say 10,000 in 1996. So I don't know what year, it could have been the next year, 11,000, whatever. For you to come out of your pocket and be able to pay for $10,000 for your child to go to school, that's money. That's money. And his father owned a business. Where's the mother at? Why are these stories a parent is always missing? LeBron James' father, we did a video on that. His father's missing. We know what they told us about supposedly what happened to him. It ended up being bigger than what I thought because a lot of people found out it was a fraud. And they're saying that he paid his father to stay away so his story could be, even more care bear than what it is. And of course, we found out LeBron James was taken from his mother. And I think, was it 4th or 5th grade at like 8 or 9 years old to live with a rich family. Now, what I will ask you guys, being rich at 8 years old until you're 18 years old, well, we would say, I guess you're an adult at 17, right? So, from 8 all the way until 17. So do we qualify that he grew up as a little, he grew up poor? Did he grow up? Does that qualify? But he grew up poor all of his life when he was a kid. I wish to God somebody rescued me when I was 8 years old and I grew up rich. And the story that they try to tell is so ridiculous. They seen him running one day, some coach at 8 years old, and he just had to get LeBron James on that team. What? And then this coach, everything broke down with this coach, and this coach, the initial coach had LeBron James and his mother living in the house, but the wife of the coach eventually said she wasn't down with it no more, and things broke down, and she couldn't have them all in the house. So this new coach came along and said, yeah, I'll take LeBron James. And the mother, I think she went about her way. I'll take LeBron James. I mean, the story sounds so ludicrous, folks. So ludicrous. Nobody is going to take a elementary school kid into their home just because they can run down the street and bring them into a rich home. How stupid does that sound? There's no real backing to it that makes any kind of sense. And you're going to bring them in the house to where I think the lady was a congresswoman in Ohio. And the other guy, he was a football coach, but he was something else. I forget where he worked at, but he had a big time job too. And you're just going to bring a elementary school kid into your house because he can run down the street? Because you like the way he runs? Boy, the stuff that they get away with. And let's get back into this Rich Paul story. And like I said, the story really makes no sense what they're trying to tell us. They didn't mention nothing about his mom. What do you mean his mother isn't in this story? That's crazy. And to me, like I said, I don't care where he comes from. They can come from the West Indies, whatever like that. But this guy is from the West Indies, or he's from the Caribbean. That's his name, Paul. That's not. That's the Paul. What would that be? Would that be French, right? Man, I want to say it's French. What French? Yes. I'm pretty sure it's French. People who have the last name Paul is like from France. But anyways. I don't know if I want to just keep going on and talk about, what he said or his story. But obviously, what we do know now is a guy, or what they've been trying to tell us, a guy that was selling jerseys out the back of his trunk. Out the back, that's what I heard. Selling jerseys out the back. I mean, some people say, oh man, he had this set up. You can't set up nothing at an airport. Have you ever been to an airport? Where do you sell this at? Where are they gonna let you sell anything at the airport? I don't get it. At what point? Where was he selling it? They don't let you set up shop at no damn airport. Especially after 9/11. I know things were a little bit more laxed before 9/11, but this happened in 2003. You damn sure ain't about to set up no shop at no airport. Where? So, if you say a parking lot, what parking lot are you talking? You're trying to tell me he saw LeBron James in a parking lot? What parking lot? What parking lot you see LeBron James? If LeBron James is coming off a flight, this is LeBron James in 2003. Told you what he's about to be, the biggest thing, just get drafted, whatever like that. But they don't tell us about what time it was. Before he got drafted, after he got drafted, because we can get some, well, no, they said 2002. So we already know he didn't get drafted yet. But again, this is LeBron James, the biggest thing coming into the NBA. No way. At this point, this guy's probably got security. Security, folks. There's no way LeBron James is about to stop for this guy at some airport over a jersey. You know why? Because, first of all, you're going to think that could be a fake jersey. Second of all, I can get this anytime I want to get it because I'm LeBron James. And I've been a rich kid growing up since I was 8 years old. Get the hell out of my face. You ain't about to talk to nobody on the side of the damn street or the airport, especially the airport. Some crazy dude selling jerseys at an airport? Come on, man. Y'all please tell me in the comments, where would he sell jerseys at an airport? Where would he sell them? You can't sell, you can't just be like, hey, jerseys. Man, the police would shut that down so fast, especially if a nigga was doing it. That ain't fixing to happen. It ain't fixing to happen. Not at no airport. What airport? He had a shop in the airport? He had a store in the airport? Show me. Somebody tell me, please. Because the story is a fraud. Another rich kid that grew up rich. And I know a lot of people be like, man, 10,000 ain't nothing, man, to go to school. Trust me. You ain't fixing to get in that school unless you got money. The average hard-working person ain't got no 10 grand to afford. So they don't. What would that be in the school year? About, I don't know, what they go to school for about 10 months or something like that? It's about $1,000 a month right there. I mean, we're not trying to say it's like 10,000 a month. Some of these schools are like 10,000 a month. These schools that they got now is crazy. But back then, if you was on the grind, you ain't got no $1,000 a month. In 2002, I would figure, man, 2000, that's way early, man. Minimum wage back then had to be like $5.25 back then. For you to make $1,000 back then, woo, you was cooking. I mean, $1,000 a week, or rent wasn't even $1,000 back then. Nothing even close. So what I'm trying to say is, it for the equivalent of what he was paying a month, $1,000 a month back then, his father had some big time money. I mean, it won't be nothing today, $1,000 a month, even though I still don't have $1,000 a month to send my kids to school. I don't have it. I guess I could do it. Like, if you got two people and you're making decent money, you could do it. But he's talking about his father was by himself and he owned a business. He owned a store. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is the whole story is bogus about how they met. It's ridiculous. Do I believe he was selling? Was he selling jerseys at the time? Yes, I believe it. No doubt about it. But the way they're trying to tell us they met is a fraud. How they met was LeBron was a rich boy and Chris Paul was a rich boy. And that's how they knew each other. They probably knew each other from maybe their parents' functions, or maybe just, LeBron James being rich and being a big name, and him being rich, going to some rich functions or something like that. They met. But they're trying to make the story more than what it is. Yes, the rich Paul probably sell him a jersey somewhere. Yes, probably so. So let's get into this. He's saying it won a big three in Miami. And let's first understand what's going on here, folks. This guy is 40 years old. And the problem is, LeBron James' career was a failure. It ended in failure. Because his prime ended, so it ended in failure. As far as catching Michael Jordan. I mean, that was over a long time ago. People are like, when he pooped his pants in his first NBA Finals, it was over then. Michael Jordan never pooped his pants in any series, let alone the biggest stage. Then when he pooped his pants in his second Finals with a super team, it was over again. And you could say it was over even before that, because he lost in the Olympics and the FIBA, missed his first 2 years of the playoffs, and never had anything close to what Michael Jordan or the all-time greats had at any point. Being an all-time great passer, being an all-time great shooter, being an all-time great facilitator, being an all-time great leader, being an all-time great whatever, rebounder, defender. So when we talk about all-time greats, these guys in the top 10, we think about not just because of them winning championships. When we talk about them being some of the all-time great shooters of all time. Some of the greatest shooters are in the top 10. Some of the greatest defenders are in the top 10. Some of the greatest leaders are in the top 10. Some of the top, I would say the greatest facilitator of all time is in the top 10. Right? And to me, you could say that what is it? Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Kobe Bryant, and Magic Johnson. These guys are the only guy, you guys know I put Kobe and Russell at 4, right? But these are the guys that had the greatest careers. It ain't no doubt about it. There's no other guys that had greater careers than these guys. And in my opinion, we're the greatest players of all time. The top 5 greatest players of all time. There's no doubt about it. LeBron James doesn't fit that mold. And we can even throw Hakeem Olajuwon ahead of him. And Hakeem is in the top 10. But what I'm trying to say is, Hakeem was a better defender. Hakeem was a better offensive player than LeBron James. Hakeem was a better leader than LeBron James. Right? Hakeem was a two-way player. Hakeem did more with less. Hakeem is better than him. When we look at Larry Bird, what are we comparing? to me, if you say, okay, LeBron is a better defender, I just don't believe it. Because if Larry Bird could have got his all NBA defensive teams playing in LeBron James' era, he could have got 6, 7 first teams easily. Because all LeBron James has done is basically play help defense to get those all NBA defensive first teams. That's it. When we talk about a skilled player on offense, Curry is a better skilled player. To me, defensively and offensively, I'll take Tim Duncan over LeBron James. I would. I mean, what's so crazy about it? Luka is making LeBron James look like an idiot in the sense that when we see Luka, he's able to come down the lane, toy around, play around, because he's got okay dribbles. I wouldn't say the best, but what you notice is he don't have to stiff arm and elbow to get down the lane and get a shot off. This is what LeBron James need to do. So Luka makes him look like an idiot in the sense that Luka don't have to do it because Luka knows how to control the ball, and LeBron James doesn't to get a shot off. So when we talk about LeBron James' career has been over, mind the game, this stuff from Chris Paul and stuff like this, they try to act like this guy's career is not over. I'm just confused. I'm confused. And if this guy was so great, and his career was what it was, and he was a number 2, number 1 player, then why do they keep needing to say the same stuff? Like LeBron James podcast. We're listening to the same thing that he was talking about with J.J. Redick, that now he's talking about with Steve Nash. How does this make any sense? I mean, we heard it, dude. Nobody believes you. Nobody believes this nonsense that you're all we got to do is go back and look at the video footage. That's the crazy part about it. Like, the video footage is there. History is there. You failed, you choked, you gave up, you melted down. What are you doing? How are you trying to change something that's already cemented? It's already cemented. But now you're trying to keep trying to make up excuses. Look, and this is why I say I don't believe these guys make this kind of money, right? If this guy really had $1 billion, well, first of all, we know he won't still be playing. Second of all, we know he won't be trying to, get money off his son, because that's all he's trying to do. He's trying to break bread with his son because his son is signed to Unclutch Sports, right? Owned by LeBron James under a different name. But they tell us some dude that was selling jerseys out the back of a trunk became a sports agent. Really? So what college did he go to for business, finance, to be an agent, any of this stuff? Any kind of business, and to be a sports agent. What is it? Yeah, we know he went to college. He didn't go to college for that. And he dropped out before he graduated. So what college did he go to for this stuff? See, nobody can tell us. All we know is that we're not dumb. And basically, LeBron James set up a business, a company, a sports agency under this guy's name. And we really don't know the detail of, of the whole thing. But this is what LeBron James basically does, or did, with Rich Paul. And to me, I don't think he would do it with just anybody, even a buddy. I think these guys are family related, something like that. Or, I think, to me, they're both a little fruity. So who knows? Who knows? These guys could have been lovers a long time ago, because they both act fruity to me. They don't give out no man energy at all. Never have, and I don't think they ever will. So yeah, there you have it with this. We could talk about a little bit more, but they keep talking about it more than us. Why do you keep trying to revive your career? Like I said, if we was like 10 years into his career, okay, I can see it. This is the end of his career, folks. That's why I said, this is why I don't believe these guys are make this kind of money. Because if you had $1 billion, you wouldn't need to do this. You wouldn't need a podcast to go in there and tell lies. If you had $1 billion, the NBA would be like, just go, dude. Get the hell out of here. You're not good for business. You're good in a way that you keep our league alive and everybody keeps talking about you in a negative way. That's it. And you guys got to think the NBA is playing part in this whole thing. That's what I'm going to say, man. The NBA has become I don't know. I see Steph Curry and he's hanging around WNBA chicks, and I forget the girl who got drafted from UConn that won the championship. He all chilling with her, and I'm like, whatever, man. I'm not trying to say I have anything wrong with WNBA players or the league or anything like that, but this WNBA, we know it has never turned a profit. And actually, we're in 2025. And it didn't turn a profit last year, the year before, the year before, the year before, or the year before that. And what's so bad about that is you would think it would be already turned a profit because the NBA is making more money than ever. It's not based on viewership or anybody likes it. It's because, the times. Everything costs more. So you would assume that the WNBA would have turned a profit. Which means it hasn't, which means it's that awful. That the NBA is making more money now than ever, and nobody gives a spit about it as far as viewership. But the WNBA can't even turn a profit? You trying to tell me you can't turn $1 billion? $1 million? Which still won't be enough to pay these players altogether. So who owns these teams? I never looked into it. Is there owners of the team or just the NBA owns the teams? I don't get it. So basically, in the grand scheme of things, the NBA is able to lose all this money and go into negative and pay all these people, from the players, the coaches, the announcers, everybody affiliated with basketball. Pay the lights, pay the water, all this different stuff. And go into negative and write this off as a loss? Is this what they do? That's what I heard. I heard they write this off. But we're celebrating the WNBA more and more and more and more every year for something that nobody gives a piss about. And now they're trying to sell this game based on a soap opera, which is cool, because that's how sports has always been sold. Some type of soap opera. But the soap opera came from the greatness of the players. You can't have a soap opera without greatness. And this is where the NBA has turned to. There's no greatness, but they said we're going to make the NBA 95% soap opera. We'll tell you that these guys are great based on this, based on that. But when you flip on the TV, hey buddy, where's it at? Where'd it go? What were you talking about? I guess I gotta wait to see ESPN or Fox the next day to, have them tell me where that greatness was, because you don't see it. So this is the new NBA today. Back in the day, we didn't need all this nonsense that they have today. We saw the greatness. We turned to ESPN, and they color analyzed it, showing us the game, showing us clips of the game. And we knew what the hell they were talking about because we seen it. They were just gonna, color it. And we got to hear some, interviews and all this stuff from the players, and the players talk professionally. They look like men, they dress like men, they walk like men, they talk like men. It was basketball back in the day. They didn't have to sell us the soap opera. The game sold us the soap opera. The media didn't need to sell us the soap opera. Did they to an extent? Yes. That's what they get paid for. But we knew what they were talking about. With this trash today, we're like, huh? What are you talking about? We don't see no greatness. What greatness are you talking about? So you just gonna bring us a soap opera with no greatness? you gonna bring us a soap opera without men bodying up, suiting up, bodying up, grinding it out, competing on a high level? Like, you're not gonna get that off. If you get that off and make that shot, guess what? you earned it. Well, no dude's playing no hot potato. Who was playing hot potato back in the day? That's ridiculous. That's what this game is today. Hot potato. It's ridiculous. But this is what it is, folks. LeBron James, I mean, this has to be the dumbest thing you ever seen in sports, ever. A guy failed to catch Michael Jordan, and now he's trying to make up excuses why he failed. So basically, we can go to any great superstar's career and listen to him whine and cry about why they didn't catch Michael Jordan, or why they didn't catch, this player, or why they didn't catch that great player. Most people, before Tom Brady, they said that, Joe Montana was the greatest of all time. Did we hear Warren Moon cry about what had happened? Did we hear Dan Marino cry about what had happened? Did we hear, even though Peyton Manning is an all-time great, we didn't hear Peyton Manning say what had happened was he didn't sit there and blame his whole team, because he had some bad defenses and he had some bad offensive lines. Not all his career, of course not, but we didn't hear Peyton Manning blame people, because it was times he didn't come through in the clutch. Peyton Manning took it like a man. We don't hear Drew Brees crying about why he didn't, look at my stats. Look at my stats. You can say that for Drew Brees, one championship, and you be like, look at his stats. Nobody ran around building super teams like LeBron James. So this is pretty much what we're hearing from him and Chris Paul as they continue to play out LeBron's last years, that it wasn't his fault, and what had happened was this nonsense right here. And like I said, if we don't go to the championship, if we don't make it to the finals, we don't want to hear no excuses, because Kyrie was able to go to the finals with Luka last year. So that'll be a big stain on LeBron's legacy if he don't get to the finals, but Kyrie made it to the finals. Look, folks, I don't see LeBron James getting to the NBA finals unless something crazy happens. If he can look over and see that Boston lost in the second round, or they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, and his team is still alive in the Western Conference Finals, enough to where he can win the Western Conference Finals. If he looks over and like, oh shit, Boston just lost in the first, second, third round. Let's do this. Hit the let's do this button. The let's do this button. Because why? You don't want to see Boston in the finals. And a big thing about it, folks, let's be real, he don't want another L on his record. Remember, 4-7? Wow. Just think about this real quick. If this guy gets 4-7, he might get knocked out the top 20. His fans might leave his ass. 4-7. So what I'm trying to say is this guy's basically out here playing for supermaxes, and he's playing for these contracts, and he's been doing it for a while. And to me, I think, especially with Anthony Davis, you got two top 75 players on one team. Who had that in the West since 2019? No team. He snuck in and won that bubble championship, but ultimately, I don't think he ever wanted to go back to the finals, especially since 2020, because yes, he was 4-6 at that point, but there was nobody to play. Look who they played, the Miami Heat. Since then, trust me, he ain't been wanting to go to the finals. He don't want to go to the finals and get another L. That's it. He's out the top 20. His fans would abandon him. He'd be a joke. Even though, to me, I think he's had many chances to come out that West. Many chances. The year he got swept 4-1, or not swept, but he lost 4-1, and when he got swept 4-0. He don't want to go, folks. What about that year he built that super team? He don't want to go to the finals. I'm telling you, you guys got to look at the overall picture. Money in the media is more important. If this guy could be 4-6 and still be the GOAT with all the meltdowns and choke jobs, the lack of statistical titles, and he could still be in the GOAT debate, what does that tell you, folks? It tells you that I know what I'm talking about. You don't want to go back to the finals. You don't want to get that 7 lost. And he could still be, be touted around as, the first or second greatest player of all time. With all that against him, that's crazy. So if I'm not mistaken, Chris Bosh, well, I want to say he made the All-Star team like 4 times after LeBron James left. Let me check this out. Of course, Chris Bosh. You know what's so funny? Chris Bosh never looked like a fruitcake when he was in Toronto. As soon as he come to Miami, he looked like a fruitcake. Let's see here. So LeBron James left in 2014, so 15, 16. Yeah, well, Chris Bosh still made the All-Star team 2 more years after LeBron James left. I mean, I think it was, what we did a thing where I think, who was it? I think it was Ray Allen, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Dwayne Wade, what's his name? Dwight Howard, AD. All these guys made the All-Star team more times than Scottie Pippen. They all had more All-Star appearances than Scottie Pippen. That's crazy. So Chris Bosh didn't make them a big 3, even though he's a Hall of Famer. And he made the All-Star team 2 years in a row after LeBron James left. And maybe Chris Bosh would have been a top 75 player if he would not have played with LeBron James. This is what I don't get. What do they give these guys money? Here, take this money. I'm going to degrade you. Is that what Unplugged Sports does? Take this money because I'm going to degrade you in your career. Because that's what they do to his teammates. And they sit up there and take it. I don't understand it. Chris Bosh? So, look. What we do know is, and I said this before, it's a reason why LeBron James got a big 3 2 different times, right? Because if LeBron James would have went to Dwayne Wade, that would not have been enough. They would not have won. They were sliding all kind of guys with them over there, and Cleveland. Antoine Jameson came over there, and Boobie Gibson. I know he ain't a All-Star player. Shaq came over there. Ben Wallace came over. Let's say Ben Wallace, Antoine Jameson, Wally Zerbiak. I mean, those teams were like, what? And what he saw was, I can never have a big 2. And when Rich Paul was saying these statements about a big 2 and a big 3, go listen to the video footage. The dude sounds zesty. The way he says, he sounds real zesty. Like, come on, dude. He sounded real zesty. But we know LeBron James can't have a big 2. Look what he's did as a Laker with a big 2. Nothing. And don't say he won that championship because Dwight Howard was there. We saw what he did in the East when Kyrie left, and it was him and Kevin Love. And that East was depleted. He got whooped in the finals. So, of course, LeBron James has to have a big 3 to win. And it's unfortunate that he's not going to win this year again because he doesn't have a big three. Although they've been trying to call your boy Reeves part of the big three. We've been hearing that, right? The big three, the big three. And I mean, if Reeves could have played like this all year, he would have made the All-Star team, no doubt about that. But he just can't do it with a big two. Can't do it. Everybody's got to be. He's got to have a big three that's playing All-Star caliber. They got to be playing All-Star caliber, and they have to be other teams' #1 franchise players. That's what I call a big three. See, Dennis Rodman was great, but he was not a #1 franchise player of another team. He wasn't. He couldn't lead it. When you're a #1 franchise player of a team, that means you can lead a team. Chris Bosh led his team. Dwayne Wade led his team. Ray Allen led his team. Michael Jordan led his team. Scottie Pippen, whatever. It was yet to be seen. Mike came back. You know, Pippen was crying, come back. Remember, because it was tanking in the standings. We all know the guys that left, but let's not act like he didn't get other guys. Ron Harper was there. Tony Kukoc was there. What's the name? I think I forget the center's name. I think Bill Winnington. I don't think one of them wasn't there. Because I think they ended up getting rid of Scott Williams to get one of them, or one of those guys. But one of them two-headed centers wasn't there. I don't know if it was Luke Longley or if it was Bill Winnington. But one of them was there and one of them wasn't there in 94. Or 95, my fault. 94-95 season. So let's not act like Scottie Pippen didn't have any help when he was tanking down the season in the 94-95 season. Don't give me that they were tanking just because Horace Grant left. NBA, what was it, B.J. Armstrong, I think he left? Or was that the next year? At any rate, they had good players on that team. Matter of fact, those are the same players that would win all-time great record with Michael Jordan the next year. But, yeah, man, we don't know how good Scottie Pippen could be. We just don't think he could lead a team. I mean, he was a great all-around player, but I don't know. When your coach don't even want you to shoot the last shot, what does that mean? I'm not too sure. I mean, we done seen all kind of guys shoot the last shot, from centers to power forwards to guards. So it don't have nothing to do with the position. We done seen all kind of guys shoot the last shot at every position. So I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. But like I said, man, this clutch and or unclutch, they're trying to stay relevant, man. I mean, LeBron James' career is over. I don't think he's going back to the finals. And the only way he'll make it to the finals if it has to be a total collapse in the East. By Boston. If Boston collapse, okay, it's off. I can see LeBron James making a push to the finals. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I don't believe in I don't believe in the Cavs. Seeing is believing. So we'll never know who Rich Paul really is. We'll never know who LeBron really is. Because the NBA is basically, I wouldn't say it's a script, but I'll just say it's pretty much 95% soap opera. And before I get off of here, also let's talk about Dame. So Dame, he's cleared to play. Time to go. Dame time. Now, if he's not cleared to where he can play, sit his ass down. Sit him down. I don't want to hear no excuses. And this could have been like, something that they pulled so he could have an excuse later why he got knocked out of the playoffs. 2 top 75 players on one damn team, folks. Understand that. 2 top 75 players on the same team. Who has that in the East? Nobody. There's no excuse why they shouldn't be right under Boston all year, contending against Boston for that number 1 spot. Oh, well, Cavs had the number 1 spot. But even if the Cavs got the number 1 spot, they should have been up there with the Cavs. See, the Boston, they could relax. They won the championship. You know, Porzingis been hurt most of the year. They're kind of like laxed and stuff like that. They better not be laxed pretty soon, because they ass lose. Like I said, that championship last year, that's a bubble win for me. That shit's bubblicious. It's over. We're going to be calling them frauds. So again, they're the only team in the East that's got 2 top 75 players on the same team. When your boy came over, Dame time, to Milwaukee last year, before the season started, man, they going to the finals. Remember, they was the odds in to go to the finals. That's all they said. They going to the finals. I'm just saying, man, this is embarrassing by the NBA to have this happen to the league. I'm sick of. I don't want to hear about, hey man, this dude wasn't hurt, man. This dude wasn't hurt. This dude. They stop paying him this kind of money. All we want to hear and see is that they went out there and they competed and they lost. We don't care if you lose. We want you to get outplayed while you're giving full effort, and that's how you lose. Not some phantom injury. None of that trash. You play to win. You is playing for a contract. And that's all I've been seeing with these NBA players. They don't live up to the money, folks. They all should be fired. Most of them. They give you this type of money at work, not so you can do the easy part of the job. So you can do they hired you because you're the right fit to do the hardest part of the job. There's an easy part of the job and a hard part of the job. And that's why they either hired you because you know how to do it, or they hired you to pay you more money because you're the best at it. And when we see these guys making these, max contracts, they're not showing us that they're the best at it. Putting up stats in the regular season don't show us you're the best at it. Patrick Ewing lost and lost and lost and lost. But we never said he didn't go out there and compete. He didn't go out there and he didn't grind. Or Reggie Miller. Or Karl Malone. Or the most of these guys, Charles Barkley, these guys that lost in the finals, never made it to the finals. We never said that about them. We never said that they didn't go out there and compete. They didn't live up to the contract. That's what you say about these guys today. And to me, I'm going to just say it. I think most of these guys are faking injury because they know they can't live up to them contracts in the playoffs. So the excuse was, if he wasn't hurt, man, he was hurt, man. He was hurt. But the times he wasn't hurt, he didn't do nothing. You hit one game winner to win a series, ain't doing nothing. We talking about the totality of your career. I done seen Charles Barkley hit game winners. I done seen John Stockton hit game winners in the playoffs. That's all he did was hit 2 game winners, and that's it. And then he lost the rest of his damn career. It's ridiculous, man. So I don't think they have any excuse to lose now. They should be able to beat the Pacers. Who are the Pacers when you got 2 top 75 players? I had Milwaukee beating the Pacers. But you got a top 75 against a guy who ain't even Hall of Famer yet. Halliburton. What's the excuse? So now you got Dame back. They did damn good without Dame. They did good without Dame. So they better be able to get past this first round. I'm done with Dame. I'm going to make a video trashing this dude like every single day. Because there's no more excuses.